You guys are cooking Food Not Bombs at your house right now.
Yep.
Yeah. When did you guys start doing that?
Since we moved in, so it's been about, I think, like 3 or 4 months now, something like that. But before that, we were cooking in Walnut Creek with very minimal help from the East Bay Food Not Bombs here. So it was just Nicole and I cooking in her apartment, and we were doing Wednesdays there because since
You
the
were
recession,
distributing it in Walnut Creek?
Yeah.
Did many people come to that? Because, like, I mean, Walnut Creek's kind of a rich neighborhood.
Yeah, it's very bougie. The thing is like since the recession hit, there's a lot of like pretty rich middle class people who have had their homes foreclosed, and so they were homeless for a long time. And since the city of Walnut Creek has never experienced anything like that, they had no policy to deal with them. So it was all volunteers, and the only volunteer organization that was taking care of them at the time was a church, and they served like once a week.
Yeah.
So we started coordinating with the church and started doing a day that they didn't do, and we were just serving in the park. And we do the same thing that we do here. We would go to the farmer's market and ask for donations, and then cook the food, and then bring it out.
Is that how you do it? So, like, do you have to be like, okay, I'm gonna cook Food Not Bombs and go out and do it yourself? Like, go out to the farmer's market and be like, who do you coordinate with?
Well, in the East Bay, it's pretty strong and organized. They have, the Long Haul has a 501c3 status, and what that means is that they can give East Bay Food Not Bombs like a tax cut code, and so you print out these little slips, and as an incentive for the farmers to donate food, you can give them a tax break.
Okay.
Right? But what's interesting is a lot of the farmers don't even take them. So, and then it becomes just like a face-to-face relationship.
So they're just more interested in helping the community.
Yeah, that's what really surprised me the most, because I would go to farmer's market, especially in Walnut Creek, and I'd be super stressed out, like, fuck, I didn't print enough of these like little slips out, and I would go and be like, look, I don't have one now, but I'll come back later, and they're like, no, it's totally cool, you guys are doing a good thing. So
you get a lot of donations?
Oh yeah, so too much. I mean, you guys know we
give
food all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
That's just cool. And my neighbors get food. This one here, and then the one down the street, and the family below us all get fed at least one meal from Food Not Bombs. So it's pretty tight.
So in the East Bay, there's Food Not Bombs each day. How many people do you think come to Food Not Bombs in a day?
Well, see, it's weird. It varies, right? So in the beginning of the month, there's not as many people that show up because they get all their food stamps money.
Oh yeah.
Right, and so, but towards the end of the month, there's more people that show up because the food stamps are running out.
Yeah.
Right, so there's that community that show up, and I would say probably at the beginning of the month, there's around 50 to 80 people, and then like towards the end of the month, it gets into the 100, 120 range. I would say 120 at the most.
So approximately you feed 100 people a day.
Yeah, just about.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is.
Why do you guys do Food Not Bombs?
That's how much time do we have? Well, I mean, like I do because I think that it's an exercise of direct action in the most basic form. So it's like a political action, but it's not. It works on the very basic level that people need, which is subsistence. Right, so, and a lot of people in Food Not Bombs are from the anarchist community, and to be able to sustain the radical community and others from just feeding them is like two birds with one stone, you know what I mean? Like, for example, like the French Revolution, a lot of people say ended because of the lack of food, right? You can't keep fighting if you can't eat. So if you can eat, you can keep fighting. So.
How did you guys start Food Not Bombs? Did you guys, when you first moved here, did you contact Long Haul and just get them there?
Well, like I said, we were doing it in Walnut Creek, and Food Not Bombs has their meetings every Wednesday at the beginning, every first Wednesday of the month. And so when I was doing it in Walnut Creek, I went to one of the meetings and told them I wanted to start a chapter and asked them for the 501c3 code number or whatever. They gave it to me. And then when I came here, I told them, I'm moving here, I want to help out as much as I can. Do you guys need hosts? Do you need houses to cook? And they said, yeah, we need Wednesday. And I pretty much scheduled my entire school schedule around doing Food Not Bombs. So I was like, okay, no school on Wednesday, I'll cook on Wednesday. And so they brought the pots and pans over, they started doing the drop-offs, because there's
So there's drop-offs. It's not just like you don't have to go out there.
Yeah, well, I voluntarily do it just because
Yeah.
it's fun. It's like the more engaging part of Food Not Bombs. But yeah, when you see people cooking, that is just, and serving, that's just like a little portion of it. There's all these behind the scenes people that do pickups, that do drop-offs, that pay for the beans and rice and the lentils and all that stuff. So it's like a bunch of people, and some of them you don't even know.
Yeah.
Somehow the food gets here, somehow it gets cooked, somehow it gets to the park, and it's just like everyone does this little part to it.
That's awesome.
Can you tell us some experiences that give you motivation to continue doing Food Not Bombs?
The most recent one was there was a 5,000 student walkout at UC Berkeley, and the students were in solidarity with the faculty who actually called for the strike. So the faculty were the people who were actually leaving, and they did. Well, most of them were from the social science department. And so we blocked the intersection of Telegraph and Bancroft for like an hour, right? And like I said, if you can't eat, you don't fight, you know what I mean? And people are getting really hungry, and Arthur decided that he was going to bring like a bunch of food from Food Not Bombs and represent Food Not Bombs and feed people. And towards like the end of the hour, all these kids start lining up that are just so hungry. Like, let me get some pizza, let me get some of this, let me get some of that. And they continued to stay there just because they were fed.
That's
And
awesome.
what I find is really interesting is they always ask, because the students are always so used to paying for everything, they always go, how much does it cost? And it's just, you tell them free, it's nothing. And that's what keeps me doing it, is that people are always, how much does this cost?
Yeah, they don't believe you.
They don't
Like,
believe.
Why
yeah,
are
they
you
don't wanna
doing
believe.
this? Why
Where
are
does
you?
And then they question your integrity as a person too. It's like, where does it come from? Did you cook it? And you're like, well, fuck you. I'm already giving you the food. But yeah, so the fact that you can feed people for free.
That's amazing. Is there anything that makes you feel discouraged?
When there's not enough volunteers, that one really, it's just like, then you feel like you're actually doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had days like that. That and like sometimes there are people that are like really just, they take it for granted. People that take it for granted and expect you to be there, and then if you're not there, or if it's not right, they're just kind of pissed off about it. Even though like the premise of Food Not Bombs is that it's an open forum, so anyone who wants to come can come and cook. And it's like, well, if you have criticism, why don't you get off your ass and come and help me, because it's not easy. Yeah, that's a little discouraging.
Is this the ideal structure, and is there room for change?
That's hard to say. It's just like anything else. There is no solid structure that will answer all of the questions. It's all about fluidity. Just like the seasons change, we get it. And that's a good example too, is that Food Not Bombs has a very intimate relationship with the seasons, because we get our food from farmers, right? And so the structure has to be able to at least flex with that, right? So for example, we get used to getting a lot of food during the summertime and going up and serving at the park. And then when winter comes, there's not enough food, right? There's a food shortage and it starts to rain, and so that structure has to change. But in terms of like organizational structure, it's non-hierarchical, and I don't even go to the Food Not Bombs meetings. So for me, yeah, it's ideal, because you don't have to necessarily be there to do it.
Is there anything that you would change personally about it?
I don't think so. I can't really say. I wish like I knew the other people. Like I don't know the people who cook on Monday. Like I've met them maybe once. So if we could have like fat Food Not Bombs parties, that would be tight. But other than
create
that,
more of a community between the people who are involved in it.
yeah,
That's
I mean
cool.
it's double-sided though. That's unfortunate about it, but it's also its strong point in the sense that it's decentralized, and that we all cook different days, and we don't need to know each other if we don't want to, and it still gets done. So it's give or take,
Okay, next question. What excites you about our local DIY and artistic and sustainable driven community?
Ooh, that's a good one. The fact that it's DIY and it's sustainable. I don't know. I've seen a lot of different models. I've seen what goes on in the Northwest and the East Coast, and I think what gets me excited the most is probably the amount and consistency, right? So quantity and quality, definitely. I've been up north where they say that they have Food Not Bombs and they don't show up days. You know, and without being
They have it,
consistent
like,
like
once a
that,
week.
it's
Yeah.
so bad. It's so detrimental to the whole movement because if you have no integrity with what you say, game over. You know what I mean? You can say you can do Food Not Bombs every day and just not have it. You know what I mean? So the amount of people that are involved in the subculture, counterculture, whatever you want to call it, is a lot. And they put in a lot of work and they're really committed and they're really consistent. So I appreciate that a lot about the Bay Area.